Hello, my name's Julie Cairnes and I'm a life mastery and conscious creation coach. I'd like to welcome you today to the Inner Peace Masterclass, and I'd like to welcome today with us Susie Beiler. Susie is a founder and lead facilitator in the Creation Temple, and currently she's in the amazing area of Sedona in Arizona. We're going to talk to Susie today about her journey and the work she's doing in Sedona, and find out a lot more about the subtle energies and channeling work she does. So welcome, Susie.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you too. I wonder if you could start off our conversation today just talking a little about your journey to where you got to today, because I've noticed there were health issues in the past, but also I'd like to talk with you also about your journey through your nutritional studies as well. It's very current, relevant dialogue, I think, for us to go into.
Sure. Wow, there's so much. I'm trying to think of how to make it as condensed as possible. And I've had quite the journey. I grew up in a Mennonite home, which is part of the Christian religion. And ever since I was born, I had periodic health issues. And it all kind of culminated when I was in my young 20s and I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, which is adrenal burnout. And I sought out lots of alternative practitioners because Western medicine just wasn't working for me. And at that point, I had been on Prozac probably for 7 or 8 years. And I wanted to get off all medication. You know, I didn't want to be on medication, and I was starting to feel side effects from it. So I weaned myself off of the medication, and I found someone to help me with the chronic fatigue syndrome. Turned out to be a specialist in that area. So I received a lot of help from that person and his team, but then, you know, there was more. Like, they got me kind of stabilized so I could do my life, but there was more. And at the time I was a pediatric occupational therapist, and I felt like I have to, you know, there's something more. I have to really figure out how to be more well, because I was just kind of scraping by health-wise, you know, putting the hours into my job and then, you know, coming home and just kind of crashing. And, yeah, you know, I didn't have a life. I was just kind of going through the motions. And so I started acupuncture. And at the same time I started acupuncture, I started holistic nutrition school. I went to the Institute for Integrated Nutrition, and that experience opened me up, because the nutrition aspects, you know, learning what was right for my body, combined with the acupuncture that, you know, opened me up, was the, you know, perfect combination for me at the time. I had a huge kind of amazing awakening experience when I was on the acupuncture table. And that one experience just kind of blew the lid off of everything. And I had this healing experience, and I thought, you know, this is it. Like, my life is good now, you know. And so I had like 2 weeks where I was very blissful and kind of ecstatic. And then I had to start doing the inner work, because there was so much programming, so much, you know, the patterning and the programming that was imprinted upon me. I had to undo all of it and rewire my brain and rewire my nervous system, rewire the way that I thought, you know, reconfigure my digestive system. Like, every little thing that I had wrong with me in my life, I had to go back through it all and reprogram everything. So that's why I am the way I am today, because I've done that deep inner work, and I continue to do it, because I just want to be as clear and pure as possible.
Yeah, and you know, it's really good for people to hear that chronic fatigue is not a life sentence, that you can come through the other side. It's, you know, it is a temporary condition. It does take a huge shift in eating habits and, you know, energy. It's a really, I mean, it is a message to us. Do you feel it was a message to you also about the work you were doing at the time as well?
Well, I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
You know, I was just starting nutrition school.
Yeah.
I had no idea that any of that would lead to any of this.
Yeah.
You know, I just kept going forward and trust one step at a time. And I am really glad that it was kind of a dramatic, profound healing experience, because I was given a life sentence. Even my alternative healthcare practitioner gave me that sentence and was like, you know, you'll probably be dealing with this for the rest of your life, and you're just going to have to learn to adapt and do the best you can and eat the best foods. And, you know, when he told me that, something in me was like, no, that is not acceptable. And I saw myself at 80 years old, like, you know, having had a miserable life. And I was like, no, that's not, no. And I couldn't have articulated that then, but that spirit within me, that knowing within me was like, no, there's got to be something different for me, because I don't accept that.
Yeah, it's good to hear that, because, you know, chronic fatigue can be triggered by a number of factors. You know, sometimes it can be from a viral incident, or, you know, like just a number of kind of health issues that just ends up crashing your system, I think. And for people to say it's a life sentence, people accept that, and it really is. It's not, doesn't have to be, you know, like I've had it myself from, you know, I had dengue fever after a mozzie bite on top of, I think I had pneumonia prior to that. So I did crash for a few years, and quite honestly, it's gone. You know, like a massive change in my dietary system and energy and exercise, all that kind of thing. I just don't listen to those prognoses myself. Quite honestly, but it's really great. What is your feeling around nutrition? Because I think people are really starting to tune into that what you're putting into your stomach is so much about our entire being, you know, the energies we're working with. And it does. So I'm just not sure how clear that message is to many people.
It does affect every level and layer, every aspect of our being. You know, there are the energetics of food that affect our spiritual layer. There's the emotional component of food that affects our emotional body. There's the physical level layer, obviously. You know, there's the mental layer. You know, the food that we eat can affect how clear our thinking is. And so it absolutely works with every part of us. And my biggest thing is to invite people into a conversation with their body, to invite people into a dialogue. What does my body want? What kind of food is best for me? And, you know, there's what your body wants in terms of cravings sometimes, and what your body actually truly wants. And so when I say, what does my body want? I'm talking about the part where your body is telling you what it truly wants, not what you're craving.
Yes.
And a lot of people are talking about ascension and veganism, and I'm saying you're in a physical body right now. You're bridging 3D and 5D and perhaps other dimensions, and you have to honor the physical body. One of the things that really, you know, kind of I cringe is when the spiritual teachers are telling people they have to be vegan, because some people's constitution is not ready for that step.
Yeah.
And if you don't honor the body and you try to skip steps, or you try to, you know, do something that your body is not ready for, you can make it worse. So we have to honor the body. If you're going to eat animal protein, choose the highest quality. Choose, you know, pastured animals that are eating food that they're meant to eat. You know, it's funny. There are a lot of like little things with nutrition, you know, like omega-3 eggs, and vegetarian fed chickens. Those aren't necessarily healthy eggs. Chickens aren't vegetarians. Chickens scratch around in the dirt and eat grubs and bugs. Right. So when you're eating food from an animal that's not being fed the way it's natural for that animal to be fed, that's not healthy food. You know, omega-3 eggs, they're feeding chickens like flax and things like that, so they can call them omega-3. But that's not necessarily a sustainable and even a healthy egg. So it takes a lot of knowing. I've researched this for over 16 years now, so I feel like I know pretty much the ins and outs. But if you're first starting out, it does take a lot of knowledge and researching to figure things out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that you don't call yourself a healer, but you call yourself a facilitator of energies, so that you're not owning yourself as, the power source, but a channel for energies coming through yourself.
Yeah, I really love that distinction. Thanks for bringing that up, Julie. I'm a healer of myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm a facilitator of healing for others. So yeah, the source energy comes through me and assists others in their healing process. I don't heal anybody else. That's only something I can do for me.
But it does help when you stand by them and give them your energies, your knowledge and experience. So, yes, and I think the clearer a channel we become, the better the energy is that comes through. And I note that you say that the energies have been really intense lately. Do you have any concept kind of what the messages that are coming through to you at the moment, or that are coming through to the planet at the moment for us all?
Yeah. So essentially what's happening is we are going through our ascension process. It's a process. It's not an event. It's a process. It's a journey. Mm-hmm. And over the past, it's been happening for a while, but the past year it's really ramped up, where there are energies of love and light coming to our planet. That light is illuminating the shadow. And so what we're seeing around us, if we're just looking on the surface, is a lot of chaos. The politics have gotten crazy and ridiculous. There's a lot of drama. People's stuff is coming up big time. And things that we used to be able to push under the rug or not deal with, we maybe could get away with not dealing with things for a couple of years. That's not the case anymore. When things come up, you have to confront it. You have to deal with it. You have to look at your shadow. And that's what's happening right now with everyone. And those who aren't willing to do the inner work, maybe they're getting sicker, or they're experiencing more drama or more pain, more suffering in their lives. And those who are willing to confront, this beautiful grace comes in to carry us. This beautiful, love is just so supporting us in our journeys of doing our inner work. And it's the most amazing time to be alive. It's the most amazing time to be on the planet.
It really is. And you don't shirk back from dealing with confrontational energies. And I note that you talk about, even dealing with anger, I think, and dealing with your shadow, and that you work on yourself every day with
always.
Can you tell us a little bit just about working with anger energies? Because very much this masterclass is around peace, and peace is not just about being peaceful. It's about dealing with chaotic energies around yourself and within yourself. So, we do go through intense emotions and reactions, and even the most experienced meditator will still experience a reaction no matter how objectively they observe it. It's a real energy that happens. So what's your take on working with the anger energies and kind of transmuting it possibly?
Yeah, it's like any other emotion, allowing it to flow, dealing with it constructively, allowing yourself to feel it. Especially with anger, though, there is a very strong power energy that is within anger. And when you allow yourself to feel it in a grounded, centered way, you can use anger as a fuel for your mission, for your life purpose. A lot of people, because it is a powerful energy, it can be an overwhelming energy. Most people that work with anger, or, when I say work with it, experience it or have anger issues or whatever, they're not necessarily grounded or centered with it. And so it comes out, as hurting somebody else, or, damaging something in the environment, or, being more reckless with the energy. It's a very powerful energy. And so you can work with it. You can practice that groundedness, that centeredness, and then allow it to come through. There's so much more. I'm not giving you like the fullness of what it could be. We could talk for hours about anger.
Yeah.
Just the idea that it is very powerful and you can use it as fuel.
Yes.
So instead of pushing it away, embrace it. Like, I want to say, welcome it into your heart and breathe with it and feel its power. And then make a choice about how you're going to funnel it, how you're going to channel it. Because like any other emotion, it wants to be felt, it wants to be expressed.
Yeah.
And so find a way to express it in a healthy, uplifting way.
I think it's really important because a lot of people need to know that anger is okay, because some people have been quite abused in the past by another angry person and they have a lot of fear energies, but about even expressing their own. But it's and also important to make sure people are not going to kind of harm themselves or someone else in that process. So I think what we're talking about is funneling it into like a release of some sort, I guess, like could be through exercise or, like running or creative process, like actually funneling it into a creative energy and making something with that energy as well. But, sometimes there needs to be a focus on the emotion as well.
Anger is great for creating.
Yeah.
Because it gives you this, anger is a very root kind of energy. It's a very primal energy. So you can really bring it up. You can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but you can really bring it up from the depths of your being and use that as fuel for your creations. And it gives you stamina and it gives you that groundedness. Anger can be very grounding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying about people being afraid of it. I was afraid of it for a long time. It's only been in this past year that I've actually integrated it.
Yeah.
And because of how much power it holds, I don't think I was ready before this past year to actually feel it. It might have overwhelmed me. I might have misused the power, So, I invite people to, some of us like to, jump ahead and get things done right away. And, but if you're not ready for something or if you're not in the space, it's okay. It'll happen when it's meant to happen, Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's part of that whole thing of releasing the old energy to allow in the new energy, which is very much what's happening at the moment, is that letting go of the old. And it is confronting, because we do tend to kind of hold on to, I guess it's a comfort zone, no matter how painful it is. You're kind of familiar with that old pain, that old wound, and maybe we can let it heal and move forward into, and as some people who are working in this field going, we really need to move forward fairly urgently. Much as there needs to be deep trauma healing work, which can be ongoing, there is also a sense that we are needing to also be able to live our mission here, not be blocked forever from our path forward. So it's a bit of a delicate juggle in a sense of the healing and moving forward.
I'm feeling that big time.
Right.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I have a lot of fire, so sometimes I'm more intense in moving forward than other people. But to hear you say that kind of everyone else is feeling that too, is good feedback for me, because it's massive right now. There are so many opportunities, kind of what we were talking about before with what's happening on the planet. There are so many opportunities to let go of anything that doesn't serve us. And it's an opportunity to do it with more ease and grace, and it's an opportunity to do it with more efficiency than I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And then to move forward, the pathways are just wide open for us to move forward. Yeah.
Yes, the portals are open and they're activated, that's for sure. And some people are portals, most people. Just also want to ask you about rebirthing. Your concept of rebirthing might be a little different than one of the original meanings. So just if you could explain to the viewers your feelings about the rebirth that's going on.
Yeah, well, essentially it's allowing our new self to emerge. Maybe it's a dramatically changed, up-leveled self, or maybe it's a subtly nuanced part of ourself that wants to emerge. So, it can be kind of a dramatic thing, or it can be just a subtle thing where we're allowing that, more of ourselves, really. We're allowing more of ourselves to emerge as we release the old and the old falls away.
Yeah. And so you also don't shirk away from shadow work. We talk about anger, we talk about, rebirthing. And shadow work's difficult because it really is, it's a multifaceted, and it's very confrontational with myself in a sense. Yeah,
it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good when you're in it. I've done it enough to trust the process and to know when I'm in it that there's something about it that does feel good because I know what I'm doing and I know it's on the other side. Yeah. And so it's kind of like feeling your emotions. It doesn't always feel great to feel the anger or the fear or the grief or the sorrow, but it's very powerful to allow that to move through you, because what's on the other side of that is freedom, expansion, growth, transformation. So it's the same with the shadow work. When you get in there, when you allow yourself to go deep within and see those parts of yourself that maybe you don't like about yourself, or, maybe someone else has pointed out to you that they don't like about you, or, whatever it is, you allow yourself to go in there. It's so powerful, because you take that thing, whatever it is that you find, and bring love to it. And that transmutes it and turns it into a completely different energy. And we also call that integration, because then you become okay with it. Become okay with that part of yourself. And in most cases, it dissolves because it served its purpose. It's not useful for you anymore. It served what it was meant to, and now you can let it go.
Yeah. And I think the it's not a danger so much as it's a part of the whole thing of shadow work is that we often project it onto someone else, or someone projects their shadow onto us. And, it's a very real experience. It's not to say that everything outside us is a reflection of us. I don't personally believe that everything is. On one level it is, on another level there are things happen that are kind of, related to someone else's behaviors in the world, and we can be impacted by those things. Yeah. I guess a lot of it's about our own reaction to those shadow behaviors and our own shadow behaviors. But in your own shadow work, do you often find that you may have projected on someone, or you've been projected on, in a sense, with those energies?
I'm sure I'm guilty of having projected on people in the past. I really try not to do that. Yeah. If anyone's watching and I have projected on you, I apologize. It's never my intention. It's mostly these days people projecting on me. And then what happens is I'm either triggered or I'm not. If I'm not triggered, it's about them. There's nothing I need to do with it. Let it go. If I am triggered, then there's something within me that I need to look at and deal with.
Beautiful, yeah.
And heal, find the wholeness within myself. And then I've integrated that piece and I can let that go. And it's, the next time either I'm not triggered or I'm triggered again and there's still something more for me to look at.
That is a beautiful take on it. Thank you for that. And you also are facilitating some groups. So I note that you've done the 40 Days of Self-Love and the Abundance Elevation experience recently. Are they online groups or real-time groups? But whether they are, can you tell us a little about them as well?
Sure, yeah. So I have a Facebook group called The Creation Temple. It's facebook.com/group/Creation Temple. And in that group, we do these journeys or these challenges. So we've done a 30-day joy journey. We're wrapping up the 40 days of self-love. And then November 12th, we start the Abundance Elevation experience. And so it's just a way for people to get some free support and to be part of their soul family and be involved with something that, the energy is always moving forward within the group. So, my intention is just to be able to provide some free support for people and help them.
Because you've got the Creation Temple, and I note that you are a channel yourself. And You channel an energy called Prime Creator, is that right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little about the
Sure.
work you do?
Sure. Yeah. So mostly I channel Prime Creator. I've also channeled Gaia and some other beings. The Prime Creator energy is unique, though, because it's not an entity or a being. It's kind of hard for human minds to wrap around, but it's an energy. It's the highest vibrations of love and light. And so when Prime Creator energy comes through, it's beautiful, it's loving. Sometimes there's tough love, things that we need to see. And so it's not always, it's not like airy-fairy, all like cushy, but you can definitely, if you're sensitive, you can definitely feel the loving energy that comes through. So Prime Creator knows everything. The only constriction in that whole thing would be me, because I can't always interpret the energy. Yeah. My mind isn't like fully developed and expanded beyond my human capacities yet. So sometimes there's energies that are coming through that I can't find words to use to interpret them. Okay. But it is very powerful. And if you ever go to my YouTube channel and experience the videos, you can feel the love that comes through. It's pretty
your YouTube channel is quite extensive. You've got a lot of great stuff there for people to tune into. I'd encourage any of the viewers to go onto Susie's channel and have a look, because there's so many experiences you can go through, and teachings and healings. Also, I just wanted to ask you about the music that you're working with at the moment, because I know that you started off with pediatric work, and then I noticed that you actually have developed a CD recently around children. I think it's like lullabies. But can you tell us just a little around the music that you're working with at the moment, music therapists?
Yeah. So I used to do sound healing. I sort of, my business kind of evolved. It started out with nutrition, holistic nutrition, then it kind of morphed into sound healing, and then I came to Sedona, and then it kind of opened up into channeling and spiritual guidance. So along the way, I created a didgeridoo sound healing CD using my voice in the didgeridoo, and then I also recorded it's an online CD. It's not even a physical product, but there are 12 lullabies. So it's not just for children, it's for sensitive beings. It's for, like, I even have visions of people playing it in their nurseries with the little baby seedlings growing. It's for young, at heart, sensitive beings who need some soothing, who need some nurturing. That's really what the lullabies are all about.
Okay, that's fantastic. And if someone came to you, what kind of work could they expect to have done with them? Like, what kind of issues do people come to you with, and how do you work with people? Like, is there a general kind of areas that you work with, or there are general ways, or you have a gamut of...
There's so many options. A lot of people come seeking clarity.
Yes.
So most of the one-on-one work that I do is channeling and spiritual guidance, and coaching and things like that. So they'll come in with their list of questions, and then they'll ask Prime Creator, whatever they want their answers to, and we get those questions answered for them in the session, and then we spend time, coaching, because there's the Prime Creator energy, and then there's practical Susie energy, who can, sometimes give more practical steps on how to implement the answers into their life and how to interpret the answers. Because sometimes I know what the answers mean, but, the person on the receiving end doesn't necessarily, fully know. So.
Yeah, because people come to practitioners for usually a couple of reasons. One is for healing and answers, and another is like, what am I going to do when I grow up? Like, there are some people who haven't actually figured out why they came here. They can't remember, even though we know that there was a contract made before we came here. Some people really cannot remember. They can't figure it out, and there are a lot of people now who are guides to that, and when you look at a lot of the indigenous cultures, a lot of the work they do with divination is helping people to find their destiny, helping people to remember what path they're meant to be on. And I think it's really powerful work, because otherwise there are health issues, and a general downward spiral, because the messages from the universe keep coming. So, I'm sure that's
You're talking about me. Yeah, that is one of my favorite things to do, is to help people discover and understand their soul purpose and their mission.
Yeah, very much so. I want to thank you so much for talking with me today. And also, just before we finish, I'd just like if you could speak with the viewers about the free gift that you're offering, which I believe is a 15-minute meditation.
Yeah, so if you go to susiebeiler.com/gift, what you'll find there is an opportunity to receive a 15-minute meditation. And in a way, it's an activation also, because it's working with binaural beats and your nervous system. So the whole intent of the gift that I'm offering is to soothe your nervous system and to rewire your nervous system to peace.
I was just having a flashback to when I first listened to a binaural meditation as a very experienced meditator, but I just passed out. I was sitting on my bed with the headphones on, and the next thing I woke up just lying on my bed. Good thing I was on my bed. It's quite, it was a funny experience. It's very powerful. Binaural meditation really does slow down. I kind of recommend that for people who are finding it hard to sort of sit in silence. It's wonderful to listen to guided meditations until you can come back to sit in silence. Both are very valuable and valid meditations. So thank you so much for your very wonderful generosity with that guided meditation. And I just want to say to people, if they can reach out to you, they can contact you via Skype. You can have Skype sessions, doesn't have to be face-to-face, I believe.
Yeah, I use the Zoom platform for sessions.
Yeah.
I find it to be a little more reliable than Skype.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they don't need to come to me in person, although if they want to, I'm here in Sedona, Arizona, and we can do some sessions on the land and things like that too, which is very, very sweet. I have a beautiful, I call it the Alewa swirl. I have a beautiful, I've set it up on my property, in the dirt and stuff, so we can do some things there. So whatever is workable for people, if they want to come here or if they want to meet online.
Yeah, I love how technology is opening up this world. I'm seeing people doing group clearings on, doing Zoom sessions online and reaching a lot of people in one go. And it's actually really powerful and actually. So we're in the good days of technology and coming out of the addictive phase, I think, where we didn't quite know what to do with it all. Anyway, thank you so much, Susie. I really thank you for talking with us and sharing all of your gifts with us, and we'll connect again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for this opportunity.